The millionaire said, "Get your hands off my wife." And everything changed. The millionaire said, "Get your hands off my wife." And everything changed. The morning rush at Downtown Coffee was in full swing, with the rich aroma of freshly ground beans filling the air. Lily Matthews pressed her phone closer to her ear, trying to hear over the buzz of conversation and whirring espresso machines. Her worn leather purse slipped off her shoulder as she fumbled with her wallet. "Yes, I understand the payment is late," she said, her voice tight with stress. "I just need another week. My son's medical bills have been—" The voice on the other end cut her off, making her wince. The line of customers behind her grew longer, and she could feel their impatient stares burning into her back. Her hands trembled as she tried to count out exact change while balancing her phone. "Please," she continued, "I've never missed a payment before. If you could just—" The barista called out, "Next in line?" for the third time, giving Lily an exasperated look. "I have to go," Lily said quickly into the phone. "I'll call you back this afternoon." She ended the call, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry," she told the barista. "Large coffee with cream, please." As she waited for her drink, Lily's mind raced through calculations. Rent was due next week, Tommy's medications needed refilling, and the utility bill had just arrived. Her seasonal job at the department store wouldn't start for another month, and her savings were nearly depleted. "Large coffee with cream," the barista called out. Lily grabbed her cup, turning quickly to head to work. In her haste, she didn't notice the tall figure stepping into her path. The collision was instant. Hot coffee splashed across an impeccably tailored charcoal suit, and Lily's phone clattered to the floor. "Oh my God!" she gasped, watching in horror as the brown stain spread across what was clearly an expensive outfit. "I'm so sorry, I wasn't looking—" "Clearly," came the cold response. Lily looked up into steel-gray eyes that regarded her with irritation. The man, handsome in a sharp, intimidating way, pulled a pristine handkerchief from his pocket and attempted to dab at the spreading stain. "I'll pay for the dry cleaning," Lily offered immediately, though her stomach clenched at the thought of another expense. "Please, let me give you my number, and I'll take care of it." "This suit costs more than you probably make in a month," he said dismissively, his jaw tense. "Just watch where you're going next time." Lily felt her face burn with shame and anger. "There's no need to be cruel," she said quietly. "It was an accident, and I'm trying to make it right." The man, Ethan Thomas, according to the name badge clipped to his ruined jacket, opened his mouth to respond, but a sharp voice cut through the tension. "Well, well, what do we have here?" A striking woman in her early 30s approached, her designer heels clicking against the floor. Her red lips curved into a predatory smile as she took in the scene. "Getting cozy with the help, Ethan?" Lily watched as Ethan's expression shifted from annoyance to something more complex. "Clara," he said tightly, "this isn't what it looks like." Clara's perfectly manicured hand reached out, gripping Lily's arm with surprising strength. "So this is what you replaced me with? Some clumsy little nobody who can't even hold on to a coffee cup?" I'm not—" Lily started to protest, but Clara's grip tightened. "Save it, sweetheart. I know exactly what you are. Another gold digger trying to sink her claws into my husband's fortune." Clara's voice was honey-sweet, but laced with venom. "Ex-husband," Ethan corrected sharply, "and you need to let her go." The coffee shop had gone quiet, other customers watching the drama unfold with poorly concealed interest. Lily tried to pull away from Clara's grip, mortified by the spectacle and confused by the assumption that she was involved with Ethan. "Clara," Ethan's voice took on a dangerous edge, "get your hands off my wife." The words hung in the air like suspended lightning, shocking everyone into silence. Lily's eyes widened as she stared at Ethan, who met her gaze with an intensity that made her breath catch. Clara's perfectly manicured fingers finally released their grip on Lily's arm, leaving behind red marks on her skin. The coffee shop fell into a shocked silence. Clara's perfectly manicured hand dropped from Lily's arm, as if burned, her eyes widening with disbelief. Several customers had stopped mid-sip, their coffees forgotten as they watched the scene unfold. "Wife?" Clara's voice cracked on the word. Her gaze darted between Ethan and Lily, searching for signs of deception. "You got married? When did this happen?" Lily stood frozen, her mind struggling to process Ethan's unexpected declaration. The coffee stain on his expensive suit was forgotten as he stepped closer to her, his hand coming to rest protectively at the small of her back. "That's really none of your business, Clara," Ethan replied smoothly, though Lily could feel the tension in his touch. "Now, if you'll excuse us—" "None of my business?" Clara's voice rose, drawing even more attention. A barista behind the counter was now openly filming with her phone. "You're my brother, Ethan. Everything you do is my business, especially when it involves the family fortune." Lily's head snapped toward Ethan. Brother? The man whose suit she'd ruined wasn't just wealthy. He was part of the Thomas family, whose name graced half the buildings in the financial district. "Lower your voice," Ethan warned, his tone carrying an edge of authority that made several onlookers shift uncomfortably. "You're making a scene." Clara laughed, the sound brittle and sharp. "I'm making a scene? You're the one who apparently got married without telling your own sister." She turned her attention to Lily, eyes narrowing. "How much is he paying you? Or did you trap him some other way?" Heat flooded Lily's cheeks. "I don't—" "Enough." Ethan's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Clara, you need to leave. Now." "Or what, dear brother?" Clara's smile was vicious. "You'll have security escort me out? In front of all these lovely people with their phones?" Lily could see several devices pointed their way now. This was exactly the kind of attention she didn't need in her life. She tried to step away, but Ethan's hand remained firm against her back. "Play along," he whispered, his lips barely moving. "Please." Something in his tone, a hint of desperation beneath the commanding exterior, made her pause. She found herself leaning into his touch, trying to look natural despite her racing heart. "Clara," Lily said, surprising herself with how steady her voice sounded. "I understand you're upset, but this isn't the place for a family discussion." Clara's perfectly sculpted eyebrows shot up. "Oh, so she speaks, and already playing the role of concerned wife." She adjusted her designer bag on her shoulder, her smile turning calculating. "Fine. We'll discuss this later, brother dear. Perhaps over dinner? You can properly introduce me to my new sister-in-law." The threat in her voice was clear. Ethan's hand pressed more firmly against Lily's back, and she forced herself to remain still, to not show how much she wanted to run from this entire situation. "We'll be in touch," Ethan replied diplomatically. Clara's heels clicked against the floor as she made her exit, pausing at the door to cast one last suspicious glance their way. The coffee shop slowly returned to its normal volume of chatter, though many customers were still sneaking glances at them. When Clara was finally gone, Lily stepped away from Ethan's touch, wrapping her arms around herself. "What just happened?" Ethan ran a hand through his dark hair, messing up its perfect styling. "That was my sister making things complicated as usual." He glanced around at the lingering observers. "We should talk somewhere more private." "Talk?" Lily shook her head. "I need to get to work. I can't be involved in whatever this is." "Please," Ethan said quietly. 5 minutes. Let me explain why we need to maintain this pretense, at least temporarily." He gestured to a quiet corner of the coffee shop. "I'll buy you a replacement coffee." Lily looked at her watch, then at the door, weighing her options. She had already lost her morning coffee, been publicly humiliated, and somehow ended up married to a stranger. What more could 5 minutes hurt? The corner table offered little privacy, but at least it was away from the majority of prying eyes. Lily sat with her hands wrapped around a fresh cappuccino, Ethan's peace offering, while he settled into the chair across from her. The leather of his expensive chair creaked as he leaned forward. "I apologize for dragging you into this," Ethan said, his voice low and controlled. "My sister, she can be difficult." Lily took a sip of her drink, buying time to collect her thoughts. "Difficult seems like an understatement. She thought I was your wife, and instead of correcting her, you played along." "Why?" Ethan's fingers drummed against the table's surface, a rare show of nervous energy from someone who otherwise appeared perfectly composed. "Clara has been trying to gain control of our family's business interests for the past year. She's convinced herself that she deserves more than her fair share of our inheritance." "And me pretending to be your wife helps how exactly?" Lily asked, unable to keep the skepticism from her voice. "There's a clause in our father's will," Ethan explained, his expression tightening. "If I'm married by my next birthday, I gain full control of the company. If not, Clara gets an equal say in all business decisions." He paused, studying her face. "She's been sabotaging every relationship I've had for the past year." Lily set her cup down with more force than necessary. That's horrible. But I still don't understand why you'd want to continue this charade. Surely there are better solutions?" "I've tried everything else." Ethan's voice carried a weight of exhaustion. "Legal channels, family meditation, reasoning with her directly. Nothing works." He reached into his jacket and pulled out his phone, quickly pulling up his banking app. "I couldn't help but overhear your phone conversation earlier. You're having financial difficulties?" Heat crept up Lily's neck. "That's not... I mean, yes, but..." "I'm proposing a mutually beneficial arrangement," Ethan continued smoothly. "Play the role of my wife for 3 months. Attend a few family functions. Be seen with me at important events. In exchange, I'll help you with whatever financial troubles you're facing." Lily's pride warred with her practical side. The pile of bills at home flashed through her mind, along with her brother's medical expenses. "I'm not comfortable accepting money for lying." "Think of it as acting," Ethan suggested. "A temporary business arrangement that helps us both." He named a figure that made Lily's eyes widen. "Monthly, of course, plus any expenses related to maintaining the appropriate appearance." The amount he offered would cover her brother's medical bills for a year. Lily's hands tightened around her cup. "What exactly would this involve?" "Dinner parties, charity events, the occasional business function," Ethan listed. "We'd need to be seen together regularly, establish a believable relationship history. Nothing inappropriate," he added quickly, seeing her expression. "Just enough to convince Clara and the board of directors that our marriage is legitimate." Lily bit her lip, considering. "And after 3 months?" "We have an amicable separation. Cite irreconcilable differences. You walk away with the agreed-upon sum, and I maintain control of my company." Ethan's expression softened slightly. "I know it's a lot to ask of a stranger, but you seem like someone who could use a break, and I need someone Clara won't be able to intimidate or buy off." The practical part of Lily's brain was already calculating how much this could help her family, but the ethical part still hesitated. "What if she investigates, finds out the truth?" "Leave Clara to me," Ethan said firmly. He stood, pulling a business card from his wallet. "Take some time to think about it. If you decide to help, or if Clara approaches you again, call me directly." He placed the card on the table, then added in a lower voice, "And Lily, thank you for not exposing the truth earlier. Not everyone would have played along." Lily picked up the card, running her thumb over the embossed lettering. The weight of the decision pressed on her shoulders as she stood to leave. "I'll think about it. That's all I ask." Ethan gestured toward the door. "Shall we? We've given the morning crowd enough entertainment for one day." They walked out together, conscious of the eyes still following them. As they reached the sidewalk, Lily clutched the business card tighter, knowing she had already made her decision. She just hoped she wouldn't regret it. Lily stood in front of her closet, staring at her limited selection of formal wear with growing anxiety. Ethan's text had come an hour ago. "Dinner tonight at La Maison, 7 p.m. Important associates will be there." She pulled out a simple black dress, the nicest thing she owned, and held it up to the light to check for any wear. Her phone buzzed again. "Car will pick you up at 6:30. E." She typed back with shaking fingers. "Is this dress okay?" attaching a quick photo. His response came quickly. "Perfect," sending something to compliment it. Before she could ask what he meant, her doorbell rang. A courier handed her a sleek black box with a gold ribbon. Inside, nestled in tissue paper, lay a stunning pearl necklace with matching earrings. A note read, "Every wife of mine would have proper jewelry. E." The pearls felt cool against her skin as she put them on, transforming her simple dress into something more elegant. She barely recognized herself in the mirror. At exactly 6:30, a black car pulled up outside her apartment. The driver opened the door, and she found Ethan already inside, looking impeccable in a dark suit. "You clean up well," he said, his eyes lingering on the pearls. "Thank you for these." Lily touched the necklace. "They're beautiful." "Keep them. Consider it part of making this convincing." Ethan shifted to face her. "We should discuss our story before we arrive. How we met, how long we've been together." Lily nodded, trying to calm her nerves. "What have you told people so far?" "Nothing specific. We kept it private, married quietly." He paused, considering. 6 months ago? "Coffee shop?" Lily suggested, managing a small smile. "At least that part's true." "Good thinking. Keep as much truth as possible. It's easier to remember." Ethan's expression turned serious. "These people tonight, they're important business associates. They need to believe we're genuine." "No pressure," Lily muttered. "Just be yourself," Ethan said, surprising her. "That's why I chose you. You're authentic, natural. These people can spot fakery from a mile away." The car pulled up to La Maison, an exclusive French restaurant Lily had only read about. Ethan stepped out first, then offered his hand to help her. As she took it, she noticed how warm and steady it felt. "Ready?" he asked quietly. "As I'll ever be." Inside, the maître d' led them to a private dining room where 4 couples were already seated. Lily's grip on Ethan's arm tightened slightly as all eyes turned to them. Ethan, finally. A distinguished-looking man stood to greet them. And this must be the mysterious wife we've been hearing about. "James," Ethan smiled, "this is Lily. Lily, James Harrison, my chief financial officer." The introductions continued around the table. Lily tried to remember names. Margaret and Robert Chen, major shareholders, Diana and William Foster, legal counsel, Sarah and Michael Pierce, marketing directors. They all carried an air of old money and power that made Lily acutely aware of her borrowed pearls. As they took their seats, Ethan's hand found the small of her back, guiding her naturally. The gesture, though part of their act, helped steady her nerves. "So, Lily," Diana leaned forward, "tell us how you two met. Ethan's been so secretive about everything." Lily felt Ethan tense slightly beside her. She took a sip of water and smiled, remembering their earlier conversation. "Actually, we met at a coffee shop. I was having the worst morning, completely distracted on a phone call, and I literally ran into him. Spilled her coffee all over my new suit, Ethan added, his voice warming with genuine amusement. He was not pleased, Lily continued, finding herself relaxing into the story. But something about the way he looked at me, even while scolding me about proper coffee cup handling. The table laughed, and Lily felt some of the pressure ease. Throughout dinner, she found herself falling into a natural rhythm with Ethan. He seemed to anticipate her needs, making sure her wine glass stayed full, quietly explaining French menu items, his hand occasionally brushing hers in a way that felt almost protective. Despite her initial discomfort, Lily found herself drawn into conversations about art with Sarah, discovering they shared a love of impressionist painters. When the topic turned to business, Ethan skillfully kept her involved without exposing her unfamiliarity with their world. Lily watched Ethan's fingers drum against his desk, a habit she'd noticed he only displayed when reviewing quarterly reports. They'd settled into a comfortable routine over the past few weeks, with her spending afternoons in his office, maintaining their charade while he worked. Today, she sat on the leather couch by the window, laptop balanced on her knees, catching up on emails. The sharp ring of his phone cut through the peaceful quiet. Ethan glanced at the screen, and his entire body went rigid. "Sarah?" His voice carried a mix of disbelief and something else Lily couldn't quite place. She pretended to focus on her screen while straining to hear more. "You're here? In town?" Ethan's fingers stopped their drumming. He stood, turning to face the floor-to-ceiling windows. "How long have you been back?" Lily watched his reflection in the glass. His jaw clenched, a muscle ticking beneath his skin. "I see," he said after a long pause. "Yes, I suppose we should—" "No, today is fine. I'm at the office." He ended the call and stood motionless, staring out at the city skyline. Lily waited, uncertain whether to break the silence. "Everything okay?" she finally asked, keeping her voice light. Ethan turned, his expression carefully neutral. "Just an unexpected call. Nothing to worry about." But everything in his posture suggested otherwise. He loosened his tie slightly, a gesture she'd never seen him make before. "Ethan," Lily started, "if something's wrong—" "It's fine," he cut her off, then seemed to catch himself. His tone softened. "Really, Lily, everything's fine." He returned to his desk, but didn't sit. Instead, he began organizing papers that were already perfectly arranged. Lily recognized it as nervous energy, so different from his usual controlled demeanor. 20 minutes passed in tense silence. Ethan made 3 phone calls that seemed deliberately vague, and Lily pretended not to notice how his hands shook slightly when he reached for his water glass. The office door opened without a knock. Lily looked up to see a striking woman in her early 30s, dressed in an elegant cream suit that probably cost more than Lily's monthly rent. Her dark hair was pulled back in a sleek chignon, highlighting sharp cheekbones and bright, intelligent eyes. "Sarah," Ethan said, and Lily's stomach dropped. This was his wife, his actual wife. Sarah's smile was warm but confused as she looked between them. "I thought I'd surprise you, but it seems I'm the one surprised." Her voice carried a slight accent Lily couldn't place. Ethan moved around his desk with practiced ease, but Lily saw the tension in his shoulders. "Sarah, this is Lily." "His wife," Lily heard herself say, the words falling out before she could stop them. She immediately wanted to take them back, but Sarah's presence seemed to have short-circuited her brain. Sarah's perfectly shaped eyebrows rose. "I'm sorry, what did you say?" "Lily works with me," Ethan cut in smoothly, but his voice had an edge to it. "She's been helping with some special projects." "Special projects?" Sarah repeated slowly. Her gaze fell to Lily's left hand, where a simple gold band sat, part of their charade for others. "And you said you're his wife?" The air in the room grew thick with tension. Lily felt heat creep up her neck as Sarah continued to study her. She wanted to disappear into the leather couch, to rewind time and never have agreed to this complicated arrangement. "There seems to be some confusion," Sarah said finally, her tone carefully measured. She turned to Ethan. "Perhaps you could explain?" Ethan stood perfectly still, caught between the two women. For the first time since Lily had known him, he seemed at a loss for words. The silence stretched uncomfortably. Lily clutched her laptop like a shield, while Sarah maintained her poised stance, waiting for an explanation. The only sound was the soft hum of the air conditioning and the distant ring of phones from the outer office. Sarah smoothed her cream suit as she settled into one of the leather chairs facing Ethan's desk. Her presence filled the room with an unfamiliar tension, making the spacious office feel suddenly cramped. "I've been in Singapore," Sarah explained, her voice carrying the polish of someone used to international business. "The firm's expansion there needed someone to oversee operations." She glanced at Lily, then back to Ethan. "Though I'm surprised to find so much has changed here." Ethan cleared his throat, adjusting his tie for the third time in as many minutes. "Sarah, I didn't expect—" "Clearly," she interrupted with a small smile. "But that's what makes it a surprise, isn't it?" She crossed her legs, the movement elegant and practiced. 3 years is a long time, Ethan. I thought it was time to come home." Lily felt like an intruder watching a private scene unfold. She began gathering her things, trying to make herself invisible as the conversation continued. "The Asian markets have been incredible," Sarah continued. "I've learned so much about international finance. Remember how we used to talk about expanding overseas?" She leaned forward slightly. "You always said Singapore would be the perfect starting point." Ethan's hands gripped the edge of his desk. "That was a long time ago." "Not so long." Sarah's eyes sparkled. "I still remember that little restaurant by the bay where we planned our future. The one with the amazing chili crab." Lily's stomach twisted. The way Sarah spoke of their shared memories, so casual and intimate, made her feel even more out of place. She slipped her laptop into her bag, the movement catching Sarah's attention. "Oh, please don't leave on my account," Sarah said, though her tone suggested otherwise. "I'd love to hear more about these special projects you've been working on with my husband." The word husband hung in the air like smoke. Ethan stepped forward, his composure returning somewhat. "Sarah, perhaps we should discuss this later." "Why later?" Sarah stood, smoothing her suit again. "I've just gotten back. We have so much to catch up on." She moved closer to Ethan, her perfume filling the space between them. "I was thinking we could have dinner tonight. That little Italian place on 5th still there?" Lily couldn't take any more. "I should go," she said quietly, already heading for the door. "You two clearly have a lot to discuss." "Lily!" Ethan called after her, but she was already halfway to the door. "It was nice meeting you," Sarah called out, her voice pleasant but carrying an undercurrent of victory. Lily managed a weak smile and slipped out of the office. As the door closed behind her, she heard Sarah's voice drift through. "Now, darling, tell me everything I've missed." The walk to the elevator felt endless. Lily's heels clicked against the marble floor, each step echoing her racing thoughts. What had she gotten herself into? The simple arrangement with Ethan suddenly seemed anything but simple. His wife, his actual wife, was back, looking every bit the successful businesswoman she apparently was. As she waited for the elevator, Lily caught her reflection in the polished doors. Her simple dress from the department store seemed shabby compared to Sarah's designer suit. The gold band on her finger felt heavy now, a prop in a play that was quickly falling apart. The elevator dinged, and Lily stepped inside, grateful to be alone. She leaned against the back wall, closing her eyes. Sarah's casual mentions of their shared past, the easy way she'd moved in Ethan's space, it all spoke of a history Lily couldn't compete with, not that she should even be thinking about competing. As the elevator descended, Lily realized she had no idea what was real anymore. Was Sarah really here just to reconnect? Or was there more to her sudden return? And where did that leave the arrangement she had with Ethan? The doors opened to the lobby, and Lily stepped out, her mind still swimming with questions she wasn't sure she wanted answered. Morning sunlight streamed through the windows of Ethan's office as Lily sat across from him, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her dress. The silence between them felt heavier than usual, weighted down by yesterday's unexpected encounter. "I should have told you about Sarah," Ethan finally said, his voice low and measured. He looked tired, as if he hadn't slept much. "It's complicated." Lily managed a small nod, trying to keep her voice steady. "She seems nice." The words came out hollow, and she winced internally at how fake they sounded. "Sarah and I—" Ethan paused, running a hand through his hair. "We've been separated for 3 years. She took the position in Singapore right after—" He trailed off, straightening some papers on his desk that didn't need straightening. "You don't have to explain," Lily said quickly, though part of her desperately wanted to understand. "I mean, this was just supposed to be temporary anyway, right? To deal with Clara's accusations." Ethan's jaw tightened at the mention of Clara. "Sarah's return doesn't change anything. She's not a threat to our arrangement." "Our arrangement," Lily repeated softly, the words tasting bitter. "Right, but she's your wife, Ethan. Your actual wife." "On paper," he said sharply, then seemed to catch himself. His expression softened. "I'm sorry. This isn't fair to you. I know this situation is getting more complicated than what you signed up for." Lily stood up, needing to move. She walked to the window, watching the city bustle below. "I just don't understand what you want from me now. Sarah's back, and she clearly wants to reconnect. Wouldn't it be easier to just what?" Ethan moved to stand beside her, close enough that she could smell his cologne. "Let Sarah waltz back into my life after 3 years of silence? Let her think everything can go back to how it was?" "Can't it?" Lily turned to face him, searching his expression. "You two seemed to have a good life together. The way she talked about your plans, your memories." Ethan's laugh was hollow. "Memories are just that. Memories. Sarah left when things got difficult. She chose her career over everything else, over us." He hesitated, then added, "Over me." The pain in his voice made Lily's chest tighten. She wanted to reach out, to offer some comfort, but held back. This wasn't her place. She wasn't really his wife, no matter what act they were putting on. "I should drive you home," Ethan said suddenly, checking his watch. "It's getting late." The car ride was quiet, the hum of the engine filling the space where conversation should have been. Lily watched the city pass by outside her window, trying to sort through her jumbled thoughts. As they pulled up to her apartment building, Ethan turned to her. "I know I'm asking a lot," he said quietly, "but I need you to keep playing along, just for a while longer. Sarah's return, it complicates things with the business, with everything. Having you by my side, it makes things easier." Lily felt her resolve weakening at the vulnerability in his voice. "For how long?" "Just until I can sort things out with Sarah. Make her understand that things can't go back to how they were." He reached over and squeezed her hand gently. "Please?" Looking down at their joined hands, Lily felt her heart flutter traitorously. "Okay," she agreed softly, knowing she might regret it. "I'll help you." The relief in Ethan's eyes made her stomach twist with both warmth and uncertainty. As she stepped out of the car, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was walking into something much bigger than she'd bargained for. The cafe was different from the one where they'd first met. This one was quieter, tucked away in a corner of the city where business people rarely ventured. Lily sat across from Ethan, watching him stir his untouched coffee for the third time. His usual confident demeanor was nowhere to be seen. "Thank you for meeting me," he said finally, setting the spoon down with a soft clink. "I know it's been a confusing few days." Lily wrapped her hands around her warm mug, grateful for something to hold on to. That's one way to put it. She tried to keep her voice light, but the tension between them was palpable. "There's something I need to tell you," Ethan began, then stopped. He looked around the cafe as if checking for familiar faces. "About Clara and Sarah." "Your ex-wife and your current wife?" Lily attempted a small smile, but it felt strained. The whole situation had become so complicated, she could barely keep track. Ethan's fingers drummed against the table. "Clara isn't my ex-wife." He met Lily's eyes, his expression grave. "She's my sister." The words hung in the air between them. Lily blinked, certain she'd misheard. "Your sister?" "Yes." Ethan leaned forward, speaking quietly. "We've been caught in an inheritance scheme. Our father left the family business to both of us, but Clara, she's always wanted more control. She's been trying to force me out, to take over completely." Lily's mind raced, trying to process this new information. "But why would she pretend to be your ex-wife? That doesn't make any sense." "It was part of her plan." Ethan ran a hand through his hair, a gesture Lily had come to recognize as a sign of his frustration. "She thought if she could create enough drama in my personal life, make it seem like I was unstable or unreliable, she could convince the board to remove me from my position." "And Sarah?" Lily asked, remembering the woman who had appeared so suddenly, claiming to be Ethan's wife. "Sarah is real," Ethan admitted. "We were married, but we separated 3 years ago. Clara convinced her to come back, thinking it would add to the chaos. But Sarah and that chapter of my life is over." Lily sat back in her chair, feeling overwhelmed. The coffee shop suddenly seemed too small, too confined. "So everything, the whole situation with me pretending to be your wife, was never part of the plan," Ethan finished. "When you spilled that coffee on me, when Clara showed up, it was all coincidence. But then I saw an opportunity. Having you there, playing the role of my wife, it actually helped stabilize things. Clara couldn't use my supposed instability against me if I appeared to be in a solid relationship." "So I was just convenient?" The words tasted bitter in Lily's mouth. Ethan reached across the table, his hand covering hers. "No, God, no, Lily. You've become so much more than that. You've been my anchor through all of this mess. He pulled back, looking troubled. "I should have told you the truth sooner." Lily stared down at her hand, where his touch still lingered. Her mind was spinning with questions, with implications. Every interaction she'd witnessed between Ethan and Clara took on a new meaning. Their sharp exchanges, the underlying tension. It hadn't been about a failed marriage at all, but about family betrayal. "Will everything be okay?" she asked quietly, not sure what answer she was hoping for. "It will be," Ethan assured her, but there was a weight to his words that made Lily's stomach twist. "Clara can't keep this up forever. The truth about her deception will come out eventually." Lily nodded slowly, but uncertainty crept through her. She'd thought she was helping a man deal with an overzealous ex-wife. Instead, she'd stumbled into the middle of a family power struggle, with millions of dollars and a company's future at stake. The simple arrangement they'd agreed to in that first coffee shop seemed like a lifetime ago. "I understand if this is too much," Ethan said softly, watching her face. "If you want to walk away?" But Lily didn't know what she wanted anymore. The lines between pretense and reality had become increasingly blurred, and now, with this new revelation, everything felt more complicated than ever. The morning sun filtered through the windows of Ethan's office as Lily arranged files on his desk. She'd been helping him organize paperwork, a task that felt normal, almost domestic, despite the complicated web of lies surrounding them. "You don't have to do this," Ethan said, watching her from the doorway. His tie was slightly loosened, and dark circles under his eyes betrayed his lack of sleep. "I want to help." Lily straightened a stack of papers, trying to ignore how her heart jumped when he moved closer. "Besides, it keeps my mind off everything else." Ethan's hand brushed her shoulder as he reached for a document. "I'm sorry for dragging you into this mess." "You didn't drag me," Lily reminded him. "I spilled coffee on you, remember?" The memory brought a small smile to both their faces. Their quiet moment was interrupted by a sharp knock. Clara strode in, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. Her designer suit and perfectly styled hair made Lily feel underdressed in her simple blouse and slacks. "Working late again, brother dear?" Clara's smile didn't reach her eyes. "And with your wife?" The pause before the word dripped with skepticism. Lily felt her cheeks flush. Even knowing Clara was Ethan's sister didn't make her presence less intimidating. If anything, it made it worse. This wasn't just about a jealous ex-wife anymore, but about family loyalty and millions of dollars. "What do you want, Clara?" Ethan's voice carried a weariness that made Lily's heart ache. "Just checking on my investment." Clara picked up a framed photo from Ethan's desk, studying it with feigned interest. "The board meeting is next week. Have you considered my proposal?" "I'm not signing over my shares." Ethan moved to stand between Clara and Lily, his protective stance obvious. "Dad left the company to both of us for a reason." Clara's laugh was cold. "Dad didn't know what he was doing in those final months. You know that as well as I do." Lily busied herself with the files, trying to appear invisible while still catching every word. The tension between the siblings crackled in the air. "This has to stop, Clara." Ethan's voice was low, controlled. "The lies, the manipulation, bringing Sarah back, it's gone too far." "Has it?" Clara set down the photo with deliberate care. "I'm just trying to protect our family's legacy. Something you seem to have forgotten about while playing house with your convenient arrangement." Her eyes flicked to Lily. Ethan's hands clenched into fists. "Leave Lily out of this." "Oh, but she's already in it, isn't she?" Clara smiled sweetly. "Tell me, Lily dear, did my brother mention the offshore accounts, the questionable investments? There's so much about this family you don't know." "That's enough." Ethan's voice rose sharply. Lily's hands trembled as she gathered her purse. "I should go," she whispered, not meeting either sibling's gaze. "Lily, wait." Ethan reached for her, but Clara stepped between them. "Let her go, brother. We have family matters to discuss." Lily slipped out of the office, but her feet wouldn't carry her further than the hallway. She leaned against the wall, her heart pounding as she heard their voices rise and fall behind the door. "You're destroying everything we built," Ethan was saying. "For what? Control? Power?" "I'm trying to save us from your mismanagement," Clara shot back. "The company needs a firm hand, not your soft touch." "By lying, manipulating, bringing Sarah back? Whatever it takes." Lily pressed her hand to her mouth, feeling sick. She'd thought she was helping Ethan deal with a difficult ex-wife. Then she'd learned it was about an inheritance dispute. But now, offshore accounts? Questionable investments? How deep did this family's secrets go? She pushed away from the wall, her steps unsteady. She was in way over her head, caught in a current of family drama and business intrigue that threatened to pull her under. Yet even as she hurried toward the elevator, she couldn't ignore the pull she felt toward Ethan, the way her heart ached at the pain in his voice. The Thomas family estate loomed before Lily, its marble columns and manicured gardens making her feel smaller with each step. Ethan's hand rested on her lower back, warm and reassuring, as they approached the front door. "You don't have to stay long," he murmured. "Just an hour or two." Lily smoothed her navy dress, wishing she'd chosen something more expensive. "It's fine. I want to be here for you." The door opened before they reached it, revealing Clara in a crimson cocktail dress that probably cost more than Lily's monthly rent. "There's my favorite brother, and his lovely wife." Her smile was sharp as cut glass. Inside, the gathering was intimate but formal. Crystal glasses clinked, and sophisticated laughter floated through the air. Lily recognized a few faces from Ethan's office, along with what appeared to be family friends. "Darling!" Clara called out, loud enough to draw attention. "Do tell everyone how you and Ethan met. It's such an interesting story." Lily felt heat creep up her neck. "Oh, it was just a coffee shop," Ethan cut in smoothly, his arms sliding around Lily's waist. "Sometimes the best things in life happen by accident." "Accidents indeed," Clara murmured, sipping her champagne. "Speaking of which, how's the Martinez account coming along, brother? I heard there were some complications." Ethan's grip tightened slightly. "Everything's under control, Clara." An elderly woman in pearls joined their circle. "Ethan, dear, I haven't seen Sarah in ages. How is she?" Clara's eyes gleamed. "Oh, Aunt Margaret, haven't you heard? Sarah's back in town. Isn't that right, Lily?" Lily's throat went dry. She could feel curious gazes turning toward her, questions forming on lips painted in expensive shades. "I need some air," she whispered to Ethan, slipping away from his hold. She found her way to a quiet balcony overlooking the garden, her hands gripping the stone railing. The cool night air helped clear her head, but she couldn't shake the feeling of being a pawn in some elaborate game. Behind her, the party continued, voices and music muffled by the glass doors. It can be overwhelming, can't it? Lily turned to find Clara watching her, 2 glasses of champagne in hand. She offered one to Lily, who took it hesitantly. "The Thomas family has certain expectations," Clara continued, her voice deceptively gentle. "Old money, old traditions. It's not for everyone." "I'm not trying to fit into your world," Lily said quietly. "I'm just trying to help Ethan." Clara laughed, the sound like ice cracking. "Help him? Oh, sweetie, you're in over your head. Do you even know what you're helping him with?" Inside, Lily could see Ethan talking with some business associates, his posture tense. Someone mentioned Sarah's name again, and heads turned, whispers following. "The inheritance, the company shares," Lily started, "are just the tip of the iceberg." Clara leaned closer. "Has he told you about the board's investigation? The missing funds? The reason Sarah really left?" Each question hit Lily like a physical blow. She remembered the conversation she'd overheard about offshore accounts, the strain in Ethan's voice when he spoke about the company. "You don't know him," Lily defended, but her voice wavered. "Neither do you." Clara's smile was almost pitying. "You're just convenient. A shield against questions about Sarah, a distraction from the real issues. When this is over, where do you think you'll fit in his world?" Lily set down her untouched champagne. Through the windows, she watched Ethan navigate the crowd, playing his part perfectly. He looked every inch the successful businessman, at home in this world of wealth and power plays, a world she could never truly belong in. Clara's words echoed in her mind. "You're just convenient." Was that true? Was she just a temporary solution to a complex problem she didn't fully understand? The party continued inside, but Lily remained on the balcony, feeling the distance between herself and that world growing with each passing moment. When Ethan finally found her, concern etched on his face. She couldn't quite meet his eyes. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. "I don't know," she answered honestly, and for the first time since their coffee shop collision, she let herself admit that maybe this was all too much. The morning light filtered through the curtains of Ethan's office as Lily sat across from him, her fingers twisting nervously in her lap. The events from last night's party still weighed heavily on her mind. The elegant room, with its leather chairs and mahogany desk, felt like another reminder of how different their worlds were. "I know last night was difficult," Ethan said, his voice gentle. He'd loosened his tie, and for once, his usual polished appearance showed signs of strain. "Clara shouldn't have put you in that position." Lily took a deep breath. "It's not just about Clara. It's everything. The inheritance scheme, Sarah's return, the way everyone looked at me at the party." She met his eyes. "I feel like I'm drowning in something I don't understand." Ethan moved around his desk to sit beside her. "I know I haven't been completely transparent. The situation with my family's business is complicated, but that doesn't mean my feelings for you aren't real." "Are they?" Lily asked quietly. "Or am I just convenient, like Clara said?" Pain flashed across Ethan's face. "Is that what she told you?" He ran a hand through his hair, messing up its usual perfect style. "Lily, you're the only genuine thing in my life right now. Everything else, the business, the family drama, it's all smoke and mirrors. But you?" He reached for her hand. "You're real." His touch was warm, familiar now, but Lily still felt the uncertainty gnawing at her. "I don't belong in your world, Ethan. The parties, the business deals, the family politics, it's not me." "Then let me belong in yours," he said earnestly. "I don't care about the fancy parties or the social circles. That's not what matters to me anymore." Lily looked at him skeptically. "Your family's business is at stake. How can you say it doesn't matter?" "Because I've spent years trying to live up to everyone else's expectations, running myself ragged trying to keep the peace with Clara, manage the business, maintain appearances." He squeezed her hand. "And then you literally crashed into my life, and for the first time, I felt like I could breathe." His words touched something in Lily's heart, but doubt still lingered. "What about Sarah? The board investigation Clara mentioned?" Ethan sighed. "Sarah left because she couldn't handle the pressure of being part of this family. The board investigation is Clara's doing. She's trying to force my hand, make me give up my shares, but none of that changes how I feel about you." Lily studied his face, searching for any sign of deception. Instead, she saw only exhaustion and sincerity. "I want to believe you," she whispered. "Then believe me," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Stay. Not for the fake relationship, not for appearances, but for us. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." Looking into his eyes, Lily felt her resolve wavering. Despite everything, the complications, the family drama, the differences in their worlds, there was something real between them. Something worth fighting for. "Okay," she said softly. "I'll stay. But no more secrets, Ethan. If we're doing this, we do it honestly." Relief washed over his features. "No more secrets," he agreed, pulling her into an embrace. The next morning, as Lily was getting ready for work, her phone rang. Her mother's worried voice came through the speaker. "Lily, honey, the bank called again about the mortgage payment, and Tommy's school needs the tuition by next week." Lily closed her eyes, feeling the familiar weight of responsibility settle back on her shoulders. Her family needed her. They always had. The pressure of their financial struggles hadn't disappeared just because she'd found Ethan. "I'll figure something out, Mom," she promised, even as her stomach twisted with anxiety. She hadn't told her family about Ethan yet, wasn't sure how to explain the complicated situation they were in. After hanging up, Lily stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror. Two worlds pulled at her, her family's needs and her growing feelings for Ethan. She'd promised to stay, to give their relationship a real chance, but her own responsibilities weren't going away. The weight of it all pressed down on her chest, making it hard to breathe. How could she balance it all? Her family's needs, Ethan's complicated world, and her own heart's desires seemed impossible to reconcile. Chapter 12. The Ultimatum. Clara's heels clicked against the marble floor of Ethan's office as she slapped a folder onto his desk. "Sign these papers, or I'll make sure everyone knows about the fraud allegations." Ethan's jaw tightened as he stared at the manila folder. "There are no fraud allegations, Clara. We both know that. The board won't care if they're real or not. The mere hint of impropriety will tank our stock prices." Clara's perfectly manicured nails drummed against the desk. "And what about your precious Lily? How do you think she'll feel when reporters start digging into her past?" From her seat in the corner of the office, Lily's heart raced. She hadn't meant to be present for this confrontation, but Clara had barged in during their lunch meeting. "Leave her out of this." Ethan's voice was deadly quiet. "This is between us." "Nothing is just between us anymore, dear brother." Clara's smile was sharp. "You brought her into this the moment you claimed her as your wife." Lily stood up, her hands trembling but her voice steady. "You can't threaten him with lies." Clara's gaze snapped to her. "Oh, sweetie, you have no idea what our family is capable of." "Maybe not," Lily admitted. "But I know what's right and what's wrong, and blackmail is wrong." Ethan moved to stand beside Lily, his shoulder brushing against hers. The simple contact gave her strength. "The company shares were left to me in Dad's will, Clara," Ethan said. "You've never accepted that." "Because it should have been split equally." Clara's composed facade cracked. "I worked just as hard as you did." "By sabotaging deals? By spreading rumors to the board?" Ethan shook his head. "Dad saw what you were doing. That's why he made his choice." Clara's face flushed red. "Sign the papers, Ethan. You have until tomorrow morning." She turned on her heel and stormed out. As soon as the door closed, Ethan's shoulders slumped. He walked to the window, staring out at the city skyline. "Don't give in," Lily said softly, moving to stand beside him. "She's bluffing." "Is she?" Ethan turned to face her. "Clara's always been ruthless. She'll dig up anything she can find to hurt us. Let her try." Lily reached for his hand. "The truth will come out eventually." Ethan's fingers intertwined with hers. "I'm sorry you got dragged into this mess. This isn't what you signed up for." "No," Lily agreed with a small smile. "I signed up for spilled coffee and a fake relationship." That drew a chuckle from him. "And now?" Lily's heart fluttered at the vulnerability in his eyes. Now I'm here because I want to be, because somewhere between the fake smiles and real moments, I started falling for you." Ethan's breath caught. He raised his free hand to cup her cheek. "Lily." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "I've been falling for you since that first day in the coffee shop, even when you were yelling at me about my ruined suit." She laughed softly, leaning into his touch. "We're quite a pair, aren't we? Both trying to handle our family drama, both pretending we weren't feeling something real." "I'm tired of pretending," Ethan admitted. "With Clara, with the board, with everyone, but especially with you." "Then don't," Lily whispered. "Be real with me. This situation with Clara, it's going to get worse before it gets better." His eyes searched hers. I need you to know what you're getting into. I know exactly what I'm getting into, Lily said firmly. And I'm choosing to stay. We'll face Clara together. Scene 1. Financial fallout. The morning light filtered through the windows of Ethan's office as he stared at his computer screen in disbelief. His hands gripped the edge of his desk until his knuckles turned white. This can't be right, he muttered, scrolling through the endless rows of numbers that spelled disaster. The Morrison deal, his biggest acquisition of the year, had just fallen through. Lily watched from the leather chair across his desk, concern etched on her face. She'd never seen him this tense, not even during their early coffee shop encounters. What happened? Ethan ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair, messing it up in frustration. Someone leaked confidential information to Morrison's board. They're pulling out of the deal completely. He clicked through more emails, his jaw clenching tighter with each one. The numbers they received, they're all wrong. Someone deliberately sabotaged this. Clara? Lily asked softly, though they both knew the answer. Who else? Ethan pushed away from his desk and stood up, pacing the length of his office. She has access to the preliminary reports. She knew exactly which numbers to alter to make it look like we were trying to undervalue their company. Lily stood up and walked to the coffee maker in the corner, pouring him a fresh cup. She'd learned over the past weeks that Ethan thought better with coffee in hand. How bad is it? Bad. He accepted the coffee with a grateful look. We're talking millions in lost potential revenue. The board is going to have questions, and Clara's probably already spinning her version of events. There has to be a way to prove it was tampered with, Lily said, leaning against his desk. The original documents must be saved somewhere. Ethan took a long sip of coffee. They are, but Clara's smart. She'll have covered her tracks, made it look like routine adjustments. He set the cup down with a sharp click. This is exactly what she wanted, to make me look incompetent in front of the board. A knock on the door interrupted them. Ethan's assistant, Michael, stepped in with a stack of papers. Sir, the board is requesting an emergency meeting this afternoon. They're concerned about the Morrison situation. Of course they are, Ethan muttered. Tell them I'll be there. After Michael left, Lily moved closer to Ethan, placing a gentle hand on his arm. What can I do to help? He covered her hand with his, drawing strength from her presence. You're already helping just by being here. But this mess... He shook his head. I need to find a way to prove Clara's involvement without looking like I'm just trying to shift blame. Then let's start digging, Lily said firmly. She moved to his computer and pulled up the file directory. Show me the original documents. There has to be something we missed. For the next hour, they combed through financial reports and email chains, looking for any trace of tampering. Lily's fresh eyes caught details Ethan might have overlooked in his anger. Look at this, she said suddenly, pointing to a timestamp. The final numbers were modified at 11:42 p.m. last Thursday. Who works that late? Ethan leaned in, his shoulder brushing hers. Clara does. She's always made a show of working late to impress the board. He pulled up the building's security logs. If we can prove she was here. And there, Lily pointed to the screen. She badged in at 11:15 p.m. and out at midnight. It's not enough to prove she changed the numbers, Ethan said, but it's a start. He straightened up, determination replacing the defeat in his eyes. I need to confront her before the board meeting, force her to admit what she did. Lily caught his arm. Are you sure that's wise? She might just deny everything. Maybe, Ethan admitted. But I'm done playing her games. This ends today, one way or another. He gathered his jacket from the back of his chair, uncertainty flickering across his face. I just don't know if I can win this one, Lily. Clara's always been better at manipulation than me. The headlines splashed across every major business news outlet by morning. Thomas Enterprise deal collapses. Morrison acquisition falls through amid suspicious circumstances. Thomas CEO under investigation. Each one felt like another nail in Ethan's carefully built empire. Lily watched from the corner of Ethan's office as a parade of concerned executives and board members filed in and out throughout the day. Their voices carried through the thick wooden door, some angry, others worried, all demanding explanations that Ethan struggled to provide. "The stock is down 15%, Michael reported, bringing in yet another stack of papers. "And still falling." Ethan loosened his tie, something Lily had never seen him do before. His usually immaculate appearance showed signs of strain, wrinkled shirt sleeves pushed up to his elbows, hair disheveled from running his hands through it countless times. "Get me the latest projections," he ordered, voice hoarse from hours of explanations and defense. Lily brought him a glass of water, her hand lingering on his shoulder. "When was the last time you ate something?" He shook his head, barely registering the question as he scanned through more reports. "Can't think about food right now. The Morrison deal was supposed to stabilize our West Coast operations. Without it—" He trailed off, the implications hanging heavy in the air. A sharp knock interrupted them. Clara strode in, perfectly composed in contrast to her brother's dishevelment. "The board wants to discuss temporary leadership alternatives," she announced, her voice dripping with false concern. "Given the circumstances." "You mean given the circumstances you created?" Ethan shot back, rising from his chair. "Careful, brother dear. Accusations without proof only make you look more unstable." Clara's eyes flickered to Lily. "And speaking of unstable decisions, still playing house with your fake wife?" Lily felt her cheeks burn, but stood her ground. She'd seen enough of Clara's tactics to recognize this for what it was, another attempt to isolate Ethan when he needed support most. "Leave her out of this," Ethan warned, but Clara just smiled. "The board's already questioning your judgment, Ethan. How do you think they'll react when they learn about this little charade?" She waved her hand between them. "A CEO desperate enough to hire someone to pose as his wife? It's hardly inspiring confidence." Lily watched Ethan's shoulders tense, saw the weight of everything pressing down on him. The company he'd worked so hard to build was crumbling, and his sister was wielding every weapon she had to ensure its fall. More reports arrived throughout the afternoon. 3 major investors had pulled out. 2 pending contracts were now under review. The stock continued its downward spiral. Lily felt increasingly out of her depth. She'd signed up for a simple arrangement, pretend to be Ethan's wife to avoid some family drama. Now she was watching a man's life work dissolve in real time, and her presence seemed to be making things worse. "Maybe I should go," she suggested quietly when they finally had a moment alone. "I'm just giving Clara more ammunition." Ethan looked up from his desk, and for the first time, she saw real fear in his eyes. "Please don't," he said softly. "You're the only person in this building I trust right now." The vulnerability in his voice made her heart ache. She'd grown to care for him more than she'd intended, but watching his world collapse made her question everything. Was she strong enough to stand beside him through this? Could she handle being part of such a high-stakes game where the players wielded power she could barely comprehend? Ethan buried his face in his hands, the gesture so defeated it made him look younger, more vulnerable. "I don't know how to fix this, Lily. Everything I've built. Clara's going to take it all." Lily moved closer, placing her hand on his shoulder again, feeling the tension in his muscles. But even as she tried to offer comfort, doubt gnawed at her. She was just a regular person with her own struggles and responsibilities. How could she possibly help him fight this battle? The setting sun cast long shadows through Ethan's office windows, painting everything in shades of amber and gray. Lily stood by the glass wall, watching the city lights flicker to life below. Behind her, Ethan paced, his footsteps echoing in the nearly empty office. "I can't keep doing this," Lily said softly, her reflection ghost-like against the darkening sky. "I'm in too deep, Ethan." He stopped pacing. "What are you saying?" She turned to face him, wrapping her arms around herself. "Look at all of this. Your company, your sister, the inheritance. It's so far beyond anything I ever signed up for." Her voice cracked slightly. I'm just me. A normal person with normal problems. Bills to pay, family to take care of." "You're more than that," Ethan said, taking a step toward her. "You've been my anchor through all of this." Lily shook her head, feeling tears threatening. "But that's exactly the problem. I shouldn't be anyone's anchor right now. I can barely keep my own life afloat." The office felt too small suddenly, too confined. The weight of corporate drama and family schemes pressed in from all sides. Lily moved away from the windows, needing space to breathe. "This started as a simple arrangement," she continued. "Pretend to be your wife to avoid some drama with your ex, who turned out to be your sister. But now?" She gestured at the chaos of papers spread across his desk, evidence of his crumbling empire. "Now I'm watching everything fall apart. And I don't know how to help. I don't know if I should help." Ethan's shoulders slumped. "I never meant to drag you into this mess." "I know you didn't," Lily's voice softened. "But I'm here anyway, and it's affecting me more than I expected. Every time I see you struggle, it hurts. Every time Clara makes another move against you, I feel sick with worry. I've started caring too much, and that scares me." "Why does caring scare you?" Ethan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Because I can't fix this!" The words burst out louder than she intended. "I can't help you save your company. I can't stop your sister from whatever she's planning. I'm just making things worse by being here. Clara uses me against you every chance she gets." Ethan ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident in every movement. "You think leaving will make things better?" "I think I need space to figure out where I fit in all of this, if I fit at all." Lily picked up her purse from the chair where she'd left it hours ago. "I need to remember who I am outside of this situation. Lily, please." Ethan's voice held a note of desperation she'd never heard before. "I know things are complicated, but what?" She turned back to him, tears finally spilling over. "What happens when this is over? When you either save your company or lose it? Where do I fit then? Am I still just the fake wife who got caught up in a family power struggle?" The silence that followed felt heavy with unspoken words. Ethan took another step toward her, but Lily held up her hand. "I need time," she said firmly, even as her heart ached. "I need to think about what I want, what I can handle. And you need to focus on saving your company without worrying about me." She walked to the door, each step feeling like it cost her something precious. At the threshold, she paused, her hand on the doorknob. "I'm sorry, Ethan. I truly am." The elevator ride down was a blur through her tears. In her car, Lily sat for several long moments, hands gripping the steering wheel until her knuckles turned white. The city lights blurred as she drove home, her mind replaying every moment with Ethan, every smile, every touch, every complicated feeling that had grown between them. She questioned if she was making the right choice, if walking away was brave or cowardly. The weight of everything, his world, his problems, her growing feelings for him, felt overwhelming. As she drove through the familiar streets toward home, Lily wondered if she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life, or if she'd finally done something right by choosing herself first. Ethan stood at his office window, watching the city lights flicker in the growing dusk. His phone felt heavy in his hand, as he scrolled through his contacts, stopping at Lily's name. 3 days had passed since she'd walked away, and each hour without her felt like a weight pressing down on his chest. He pressed call before he could talk himself out of it. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. His heart hammered against his ribs. On the 4th ring, her voice came through, soft and hesitant. "Ethan? I need to see you," he said, his voice rougher than intended. "Please." A pause stretched between them, filled with unspoken words and lingering hurt. Finally, Lily sighed. "I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm ending it, all of it." He turned from the window, pacing his office. "I'm confronting Clara tomorrow. This has gone on long enough." "What do you mean, ending it?" The concern in her voice made his chest ache. "I've spent years letting Clara manipulate everything. The business, our family relationships, even my personal life." Ethan stopped at his desk, looking at the family photo taken years ago, before everything fell apart. "She's my sister, and I love her. But I can't let her destroy everything anymore." "Ethan," Lily's voice softened. "What are you planning?" "I have proof." He picked up a thick folder from his desk. "Records of every manipulation, every scheme, every time she tried to undermine the company. Tomorrow morning I'm presenting everything to the board." The silence on the other end of the line stretched so long he thought she might have hung up. Then, "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you deserve to know." Ethan sank into his chair, suddenly exhausted. "Because even though you walked away, and you had every right to, you're still the only person I trust completely. Because—" He took a deep breath. "Because I miss you." He heard her sharp intake of breath. "That's not fair." "I know." He ran a hand through his hair. "Nothing about this situation has been fair. Not to you, not to me, not even to Clara. We've all been stuck in this toxic cycle for too long. And you think confronting her will fix everything? No." Ethan's laugh held no humor. "But it's a start. The truth needs to come out, even if it tears everything apart first. I can't keep living like this, pretending everything's fine while watching my sister systematically destroy our family's legacy." Paper rustled on Lily's end of the line. "What happens after? If you expose everything?" "Best case? Clara realizes she needs help, agrees to step back from the company, and we can start rebuilding our relationship as siblings rather than adversaries." He stood again, unable to stay still. "Worst case? The company takes a hit, but at least it'll be honest damage we can work to repair, not this constant sabotage from within." "You could lose everything," Lily whispered. "I'm already losing everything." The words came out before he could stop them. "The company, my sister, Ethan, I know you needed space. I know this is all complicated and messy, and more than anyone should have to deal with." He pressed his forehead against the cool glass of the window. "But I'm doing this with or without an audience. I wanted you to know." The silence stretched between them again, heavy with possibility and fear. Finally, Lily spoke, her voice stronger than before. "When?" "Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, board meeting." Another pause, then, "Text me the address." Ethan's heart skipped. "You'll come?" "I'm still not sure about us, about any of this." He could hear the conflict in her voice. "But you're right, this needs to end, and nobody should have to face something like this alone." Relief flooded through him, making his knees weak. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," she said softly. "This could all go terribly wrong." "It could," he agreed, "but at least it'll be honest." 9 o'clock, she confirmed. "I'll be there." The call ended, leaving Ethan staring at his reflection in the window. Tomorrow would change everything, for better or worse, but knowing Lily would be there, even if just as a witness, made him feel stronger than he had in days. The boardroom felt colder than usual as Ethan stood at the window, watching members file in one by one. Each face held a mix of curiosity and concern. They'd never been summoned this early, this urgently. His hands tightened around the folder he held, years of evidence carefully compiled inside. Clara swept in last, her designer heels clicking against the hardwood floor. She wore her usual armor, a perfectly tailored suit, immaculate makeup, and a smile that could cut glass. "Brother dear," she said, voice honey-sweet. "What's this emergency meeting about?" Before Ethan could respond, the door opened once more. Lily slipped in quietly, taking a seat in the corner. Their eyes met briefly, and her slight nod gave him strength. "Thank you all for coming," Ethan began, moving to the head of the table. "I've called this meeting to address some irregularities in our company's recent performance." Clara's smile didn't waver, but her fingers tightened around her coffee cup. "Irregularities?" "Yes." Ethan opened the folder, spreading documents across the table. "Over the past 3 years, our company has experienced several significant setbacks: failed deals, lost contracts, leaked information." He looked directly at his sister. At first, they seemed like unfortunate coincidences, but a pattern emerged. "What exactly are you implying?" Clara's voice held a warning edge. "I'm not implying anything." Ethan pushed a stack of papers toward the board members. "I'm stating facts. Every major setback we've experienced can be traced back to deliberate sabotage." The board members began examining the documents, murmurs of concern filling the room. Clara's facade cracked slightly, her smile faltering. "These are serious accusations," one board member said, frowning at the papers. "They are," Ethan agreed, "and I have proof." He turned to his sister. "Would you like to explain why you've been systematically undermining our family's company, Clara? Or should I?" Clara's laugh was sharp and brittle. "This is ridiculous. You're paranoid, Ethan. Always have been." "Am I?" He pulled out more documents. "These are emails between you and our competitors, phone records, bank statements showing suspicious transfers." His voice remained steady, though his heart raced. "You've been playing both sides, Clara, using our family's inheritance as leverage while secretly working to destroy what our parents built." The color drained from Clara's face. "You had no right to access my personal information." "I had every right. As CEO and majority shareholder, it's my responsibility to protect this company." Ethan's voice softened slightly. "The question is why, Clara? Why try to destroy everything?" Clara stood abruptly, her chair scraping back. "Because it should have been mine!" The words exploded from her, years of resentment finally breaking free. "I'm the oldest. I worked just as hard, sacrificed just as much, but Dad always favored you, always groomed you to take over." "That's not true," Ethan said quietly. "Dad wanted us to work together. He left us equal shares." "Equal?" Clara laughed bitterly. "You got controlling interest. You got the CEO position. I got to be your subordinate. You got a seat on the board, a vice presidency. Dad wanted us to be partners." "Partners?" she sneered. "I've spent my entire life in your shadow, watching you make decisions that I should have been making." The board members watched in stunned silence as years of family drama unfolded before them. Ethan glanced at Lily, who gave him another encouraging nod. "This ends now," Ethan said firmly. "The sabotage, the manipulation, all of it. You have 2 choices, Clara. Either step down voluntarily and get the help you need, or I'll be forced to take legal action." Clara's face contorted with rage, then crumpled. For the first time in years, Ethan saw his sister's true face, Not the polished mask she always wore, but the hurt, angry woman beneath. "You'd do that?" she whispered. "You'd destroy your own sister?" "No," Ethan said gently. "I'm trying to save her. Save us both from this toxic pattern we've been trapped in." Clara sank back into her chair, shoulders slumping. The fight seemed to drain out of her all at once. "I don't know how to stop," she admitted quietly. "Then let me help you," Ethan said. "As your brother, not your boss." Clara looked around the room, at the evidence of her schemes laid bare, at the concerned faces of the board members, at Lily sitting quietly in the corner. Finally, she nodded, a tear sliding down her cheek. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." Relief flooded through Ethan as he watched his sister's walls finally crumble. It wasn't a complete victory. There would be consequences, hard conversations, and much healing needed. But it was a start. The truth was finally out. The evening sun cast long shadows across the park as Lily sat on a bench, nervously smoothing her skirt. Ethan had called earlier, his voice carrying a mix of exhaustion and determination that made her heart flutter. Now, watching him approach, she noticed how different he looked. Lighter somehow, as if a great weight had been lifted from his shoulders. "Thank you for meeting me," Ethan said, settling beside her. His usual polished exterior had softened, his tie loosened, and sleeves rolled up. "After everything that's happened, I wasn't sure you would." Lily tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "I almost didn't," she admitted. "These past few weeks have been intense." "That's putting it mildly." He gave a small, self-deprecating laugh. "I owe you an apology, Lily. Several, actually." "Ethan, please," he interrupted gently. "Let me say this." He turned to face her fully, his eyes meeting hers with an openness she'd never seen before. "I dragged you into my family's mess without considering the consequences. I asked you to pretend to be something you weren't, and then I complicated everything by—" He paused, running a hand through his hair. "By falling in love with you." Lily's breath caught in her throat. The words hung in the air between them, honest and vulnerable. "It wasn't supposed to happen," he continued, his voice soft but steady. "You were supposed to be a solution to a problem, a business arrangement. But somewhere between the fake smiles and real conversations, between the family dinners and quiet moments, you became so much more." A couple walked past them, their dog pulling at its leash, but Lily barely noticed. Her whole world had narrowed to this moment, to Ethan's words, and the earnest look in his eyes. "I love how you see through people's facades," he said. "How you genuinely care about others, even when they don't deserve it. I love that you stood by me during the mess with Clara, not because you had to, but because you wanted to. I love your strength, your compassion, your ability to make me laugh even when everything's falling apart." Lily's eyes stung with tears. "Ethan, I know I've made mistakes," he pressed on. "I know I should have been honest from the start about Clara, about everything. But the one thing I've never been confused about is how I feel about you." He reached for her hand, his touch gentle. "I love you, Lily. Not as part of some arrangement or scheme, but purely and simply because you're you." The tears spilled over now, running down Lily's cheeks. She remembered all the moments that had led them here, the coffee shop collision, the fake smiles that became real, the quiet conversations that revealed the man behind the businessman facade. She thought about how he'd listened to her problems, supported her dreams, made her feel valued in a way no one else had. "I was so scared," she whispered, squeezing his hand. "Scared of getting hurt, of being just another part of your complicated life. But somewhere along the way, I stopped pretending too." She met his gaze, her heart pounding but her voice steady. I fell in love with you, Ethan. The real you. Not the polished businessman or the dutiful son, but the man who makes me feel safe and understood and cherished." Ethan's free hand came up to cup her cheek, thumb gently wiping away her tears. The tenderness of the gesture made her heart ache. "I love you," she said again, stronger this time. "Even with all the complications and uncertainty, maybe even because of them, because they showed me who you really are." The park continued to buzz with life around them, joggers passing by, birds calling from nearby trees, the distant sound of traffic. But they remained in their own world, hands clasped, hearts open, finally honest about the feelings that had been growing between them all along. The evening sun cast long shadows across the park as Ethan and Lily walked hand in hand along the winding path. The weight of secrets and pretense had lifted, leaving them both feeling lighter, more genuine with each step they took. "I can't believe how different everything feels now," Lily said, squeezing his hand. "It's like I can finally breathe properly." Ethan nodded, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. "I've spent so much time trying to manage my family's expectations, I almost forgot what it felt like to just be myself." They found a quiet spot near a fountain, its gentle splashing creating a peaceful backdrop. Sitting close together on a wooden bench, they watched as the last rays of sunlight painted the sky in soft pinks and purples. "Tell me something," Lily said, turning to face him. "If you could do anything now, without worrying about your family or the business, what would it be?" Ethan was quiet for a moment, considering. "I've always wanted to start my own company," he admitted. "Something smaller, more personal, where I could actually make a difference in people's lives instead of just chasing profit margins." "What kind of company?" Lily's eyes lit up with interest. "A consulting firm that helps small businesses grow," he said, his voice warming with enthusiasm. "I've seen so many brilliant ideas fail because people didn't have the right guidance or resources. I'd love to change that." Lily smiled, seeing the passion in his eyes. "That sounds amazing, Ethan. You'd be perfect for that." "What about you?" he asked, pulling her closer. "What's your dream?" "I've always wanted to open a community center," she said, her voice soft but sure. "A place where families can get support, where kids can have after-school programs, where people can learn new skills." She paused, looking down at their intertwined fingers. "I know what it's like to struggle, to feel like you're alone. I want to create a space where people know they're not." Ethan lifted their joined hands to his lips, pressing a gentle kiss to her knuckles. "We could do it together," he suggested. "Combine our skills. Your heart for helping people, my business experience. You'd want that?" Lily looked at him, hope blooming in her chest. "More than anything," he assured her. "Starting fresh, building something meaningful together, it sounds perfect." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, both imagining the possibilities stretching out before them. "I need you to know something," Ethan said finally. "Whatever happens with my family, whatever Clara tries next, none of it matters as much as this, as us. I'm done letting their drama control my life." "Are you sure?" Lily asked. "Your family has been such a big part of your world for so long." "That's exactly why I need to break free," he explained. "I've spent years trying to navigate their expectations and schemes, but being with you has shown me what really matters." He turned to face her fully. "You make me want to be better, to build something real and honest." Lily felt tears prick at her eyes. "You do the same for me," she whispered. "You make me believe in myself, in what's possible." The fountain continued its gentle symphony behind them as they discussed their dreams, practical plans mixing with hopeful aspirations. They talked about potential locations for the community center, about the kind of businesses they wanted to help, about creating something meaningful together. "It won't be easy," Ethan acknowledged, his arm wrapped securely around her shoulders. Starting over never is. No, Lily agreed, leaning into him. But we'll be doing it together. That's what matters. The setting sun painted everything in golden light as they sat there, two people who had found each other through a chance encounter and staged pretense, now planning a future built on truth and trust. Their love, tested by family drama and strengthened by shared struggles, had become something real and unshakable. Standing together at the fountain's edge, they watched the water catch the last rays of sunlight, each droplet sparkling like possibilities. Their hands remained clasped, a physical reminder of their connection and their commitment to moving forward together. Ethan sat at his desk, staring at the fresh stack of business plans before him. Sunlight streamed through the windows of his newly leased office space, smaller than his previous one, but somehow it felt more like home. The weight that had pressed on his shoulders for so long had finally lifted, leaving him feeling lighter, more focused. Lily knocked softly on the doorframe, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "Thought you might need this," she said, placing 1 cup on his desk. "You're a lifesaver," he smiled, reaching for her hand. "I've been going over these proposals all morning." She perched on the edge of his desk, peering at the papers. "How's it going?" "Better than expected," Ethan replied, taking a sip of coffee. "Without Clara's interference, I can finally see things clearly. There are so many small businesses out there that need help. Real help, not just financial backing." Lily nodded, her eyes scanning the documents. "I saw 3 more inquiries came in this morning. Word's getting around about your new consulting approach." "It feels different this time," Ethan admitted, leaning back in his chair. "Before, everything was about maintaining the family legacy, living up to impossible expectations. Now," he gestured to the office around them, "now it's about building something meaningful." The space might have been modest compared to his former corporate suite, but it hummed with possibility. Whiteboards lined one wall, covered with plans and ideas. The conference room down the hall was set up for workshops and training sessions. Everything was designed to be approachable, welcoming. "Have you heard from Clara?" Lily asked carefully, watching his expression. "She sent an email yesterday," Ethan said, his voice steady. "More apologies, more attempts to explain herself. But I'm not interested in getting pulled back into that drama. I've told her I need space, and I meant it." Lily squeezed his shoulder supportively. "I'm proud of you, you know that?" He covered her hand with his. "I couldn't have done any of this without you. You helped me see what was possible beyond my family's shadow." "Speaking of possibilities," Lily said, pulling out her tablet. "I've been working on some ideas for the community center integration." She pulled up a presentation, showing him slides of potential programs. "We could offer business workshops here, then direct people to the center for ongoing support and resources." Ethan stood up, moving closer to look at the plans. "This is brilliant, Lily. Creating a complete support system. Business guidance here. Practical help there. It's exactly what I had in mind." They spent the next hour reviewing the details, their excitement growing as they refined their vision. Lily's understanding of community needs complemented Ethan's business expertise perfectly. Where he saw market opportunities, she saw ways to help families. Together, they were creating something neither could have achieved alone. "We should set up a meeting with that property developer," Ethan suggested, making notes. "The location they showed us last week would be perfect for the center." "Already done," Lily smiled. "We're meeting them tomorrow at 10. I also contacted some local nonprofits about potential partnerships." Ethan paused in his note-taking, looking at her with admiration. "You're amazing, you know that?" A slight blush colored her cheeks. "I just want this to work. It feels important, like we're building something that could really help people." "We are," he assured her, pulling her close. And we're building it the right way this time. No schemes, no manipulation, just honest work and real purpose." They stood together, looking out the window at the city below. Somewhere out there were people who needed their help, families struggling to make ends meet, entrepreneurs with dreams waiting to be realized. For the first time in his life, Ethan felt truly aligned with his purpose, and having Lily beside him made it all the more meaningful. "Ready to change some lives?" he asked, turning to her with a smile. "With you?" Lily replied, her eyes bright with determination. "Always." The morning sun filtered through the curtains of Lily's apartment as she stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror. Dark circles under her eyes betrayed her sleepless night, filled with worries about her place in Ethan's world. She splashed cold water on her face, trying to wash away the doubts that clung to her like shadows. Her phone buzzed with another business email, something about the community center project she and Ethan were working on. Her finger hovered over the screen, hesitating. The words blurred together as her insecurities surfaced again. "What am I doing?" she whispered to her reflection. "I'm just a single mom who couldn't even keep her own finances straight. How can I help run something this big?" The doorbell rang, startling her. She knew it would be Ethan. They had planned to review some proposals over breakfast. Taking a deep breath, she opened the door to find him holding a paper bag from her favorite bakery and 2 cups of coffee. "You look like you're thinking too hard," he said, studying her face with concern. "Is it that obvious?" She attempted a smile, but it felt weak even to her. Ethan set the breakfast items on her kitchen counter and turned to face her. "Talk to me, Lily. What's going on in that head of yours?" She busied herself with arranging plates, avoiding his gaze. "It's nothing. Just sometimes I wonder if I'm cut out for all of this. The business meetings, the planning sessions, the responsibility." Her hands trembled slightly as she poured cream into her coffee. "Yesterday, in that meeting with the investors, I felt so out of place." "The meeting where you spotted the flaw in their financial projections, the one that could have cost us thousands?" Ethan raised an eyebrow. "That was just basic math," she protested weakly. "That was insight and attention to detail that none of those supposedly experienced businessmen caught." He stepped closer, gently taking the cream pitcher from her shaking hands. "Lily, look at me." She reluctantly met his eyes, finding them full of warmth and conviction. "You are the strongest person I know," he said firmly. "You raised your son alone, worked multiple jobs to make ends meet, and never lost your compassion or integrity along the way. Do you know how rare that is?" "But your world is so different from mine," she argued. "All these high-stakes decisions, the pressure—" "My world?" Ethan shook his head. "My world was empty before you came into it, full of power plays and family schemes, but empty of real purpose. You're the one who showed me what matters." Lily leaned against the counter, absorbing his words. "I just don't want to let you down." "You couldn't if you tried." He reached for her hand, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. "Remember last week when that single mother came into the office? She was overwhelmed, desperate for help with her small business." "Maria," Lily nodded, "with the catering company." "You knew exactly how to talk to her, how to break down the steps she needed to take. You understood her struggles in a way I never could. That's what makes us work so well together. We bring different strengths to the table." Tears pricked at Lily's eyes as she remembered Maria's grateful smile. "I just want to make a difference." "You already are." Ethan pulled her into his arms. "Every day you make a difference. To the people we help, to me, to everyone around you." Standing there in her small kitchen, surrounded by the warmth of morning sunlight and the scent of coffee, Lily felt something shift inside her. The doubts didn't disappear completely, but they softened, making room for a new certainty. She belonged here, not just in Ethan's arms, but in this life they were building together. Her experiences, her understanding of struggle and persistence, weren't weaknesses to be overcome, but strengths to be embraced. "We're stronger together," she said softly, the words feeling right as they left her lips. "Always have been," Ethan agreed, pressing a kiss to her forehead. Ethan straightened his tie in the mirror, his fingers working methodically as he prepared for the family brunch he'd organized. The morning sun streamed through his bedroom windows, casting a warm glow that felt fitting for new beginnings. "Are you sure about this?" Lily asked from the doorway, looking elegant in a light blue dress that made her eyes shine. "Family reconciliations can be complicated." He caught her gaze in the mirror's reflection. "They are. But after everything that's happened, we need this. My sister, Clara, she's agreed to professional counseling. That's a start." Lily crossed the room and adjusted his tie with gentle hands. "And your parents?" "They're finally seeing things clearly. Clara's manipulation affected everyone, not just me." He covered her hands with his. "Having you by my side through all this, it's made me stronger." The drive to his parents' estate was quiet, filled with anticipation. As they pulled up to the sprawling house, Lily squeezed his hand. Several cars were already parked in the circular driveway, his parents, Clara, and a few other relatives who had been caught in the crossfire of the inheritance drama. Inside, the tension was palpable. Clara stood near the window, looking smaller somehow, without her usual sharp-edged confidence. Their mother was arranging flowers with trembling hands, while their father sat in his leather armchair, appearing older than Ethan remembered. "Ethan," his mother said, her voice wavering, "and Lily, dear, thank you both for coming." Clara turned from the window. "I've been seeing Dr. Matthews," she said abruptly. "He's helping me understand patterns, destructive ones." Her words were stiff but sincere. Ethan nodded, keeping his arm steady around Lily's waist. "That's good to hear, Clara." Their father cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should all sit down. Martha's prepared quite a spread in the dining room." The family moved to the formal dining room, where the table was set with the best china, his mother's way of marking important occasions. As they settled into their seats, Ethan noticed how his sister's hands shook slightly as she reached for her water glass. "I've been thinking," Clara said suddenly, "about when we were kids, before the business took over everything. Remember those summers at the lake house? When you pushed me off the dock every morning?" Ethan's lips twitched. "You needed the wake-up call," Clara replied, a ghost of their old sibling banter emerging. Their mother dabbed at her eyes with a napkin. "You two were inseparable back then." "Until the inheritance became more important than family," Ethan said quietly. The words hung in the air, heavy but necessary. Clara looked down at her plate. "I let greed poison everything. The therapist says, he says I was trying to prove something, that I mattered as much as Ethan did in the family business." "You always mattered," their father spoke up, his voice rough with emotion. "I'm the one who failed. I set up this competitive dynamic between you two, made everything about the business instead of family." Lily, who had been quietly observing, spoke softly. "Sometimes it takes nearly losing everything to see what's truly important." The family turned to look at her, and Ethan felt a surge of pride at her quiet wisdom. "You're right," Clara admitted, "and I almost destroyed everything because I couldn't see past my own jealousy." She took a shaky breath. "I'm sorry, Ethan. For everything." Martha appeared with a tray of appetizers, providing a momentary break in the emotional tension. As they began to serve themselves, the conversation gradually shifted to lighter topics, memories of better times, stories that made them laugh despite themselves. Ethan watched as Lily engaged with his family, her natural warmth drawing out genuine responses. His mother shared childhood photos, while his father discussed their plans for the community center project with genuine interest. Even Clara began to relax, her sharp edges softening as she allowed herself to be part of the family again, rather than its antagonist. Under the table, Lily's hand found his, their fingers intertwining. This was just the beginning of healing old wounds, but as he looked around at his family, really looked at them as people rather than adversaries, Ethan felt hope blooming. They had a long way to go, but they were finally on the right path. Lily stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of Ethan's penthouse, watching the city lights twinkle below. The past few months had been a whirlwind, but now, with his family situation finally settling, she felt like she could breathe again. She sensed Ethan's presence before he wrapped his arms around her waist from behind. "Penny for your thoughts?" he murmured against her hair. She leaned back into his embrace. "Just thinking about how different everything is now. A few months ago I was spilling coffee on you in that shop, and now—" She turned in his arms to face him. "Now here we are." His eyes softened as he looked at her. "Best coffee accident of my life." He led her to the plush sofa, pulling her close as they sat. "I've been thinking about us, about the future." "Oh?" Lily's heart skipped a beat. She'd been doing some thinking of her own. "With everything finally calming down with my family, I want to focus on what matters most." He took her hand, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. "You changed everything for me, Lily. You showed me what real partnership looks like." She squeezed his hand. "You did the same for me. I never thought I could feel this secure, this loved." "I want to build something real with you," Ethan continued. "Not just the business or the house, though I'd love to look for a place together. Something that's ours from the start." Lily's eyes brightened. "I'd like that. Maybe something with a garden? I've always wanted to grow my own herbs." "A garden?" He grinned. "I can see it. A big backyard? Maybe room for kids to play someday?" His voice held a question. Her heart warmed at the thought. "You want children?" "With you, absolutely." He pulled her closer. "I want it all, Lily. The house, the garden, the family. I want to come home to you every day and build a life together." "Even after everything with your sister? The family drama?" "Especially after that." He shifted to face her fully. "You taught me that family isn't about power or control. It's about love and support. That's what I want for our future family." Lily felt tears prick her eyes. "I want that too. A real home, filled with love and laughter. No schemes, no manipulation, just us building something beautiful together." "Tell me more," Ethan encouraged, his eyes bright with interest. "What does your perfect future look like?" She tucked her legs under her, getting comfortable. "Well, I'd love a house with character, not one of those cookie-cutter mansions. Something we can make our own, with big windows for natural light, and maybe a reading nook where we can curl up together." "Go on," he smiled, clearly enjoying her enthusiasm. "A kitchen where we can cook together. You know I love trying new recipes. And yes, definitely a garden. Maybe we could have Sunday brunches outside when the weather's nice." She paused, blushing slightly. "And maybe a nursery someday, with soft colors and a rocking chair by the window." Ethan's expression grew tender. "How many kids are you thinking?" 2 or 3? She bit her lip. "I always wanted siblings growing up, though maybe we should start with 1 and see how we handle it." He laughed, pulling her into his lap. "Practical as always. I love that about you." His expression grew serious. "I promise you, Lily, our children will never have to deal with the kind of family drama I grew up with. They'll know they're loved for who they are, not what they can do." "We'll make sure of it," she agreed, resting her head on his shoulder. We'll build something different, something real." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, both lost in thoughts of their future. Ethan's hand ran soothingly up and down her back. "What about travel?" he asked. "Before we settle down completely? There's so much of the world I want to show you." Lily's eyes lit up. "I've always wanted to see Paris and Italy, all those little coastal towns." "We could do a European tour," he suggested. "Take a month or two, really explore. Maybe even look for inspiration for our house design." "That sounds perfect." She traced his jaw with her finger. "When should we start looking for houses?" "How about this weekend?" His eyes sparkled with excitement. "I know a realtor who specializes in unique properties. We could start browsing, see what catches our eye." Sunlight streamed through the windows of their favorite coffee shop, the same one where they'd first met. Lily sat across from Ethan, her hands wrapped around a warm mug, remembering how different things had been that day when she'd accidentally spilled coffee on his expensive suit. "I can't believe we're back here," she said, smiling at the memory. "Everything's changed so much." Ethan reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "For the better." His thumb traced circles on her palm, a gesture that had become so familiar and comforting. "Though I have to admit, I never expected a coffee accident to lead to all of this." "You were so angry that day." Lily laughed softly. "If someone had told me then that we'd end up here, I would have thought they were crazy," Ethan finished, his eyes crinkling with amusement. "But here we are." The morning crowd bustled around them, creating a comfortable backdrop of conversation and clinking cups. It felt right to be here, where their story had begun, as they prepared to start their next chapter together. "Are you nervous?" Ethan asked, studying her face. "About the house viewing today?" Lily considered the question. "A little," she admitted. "It's a big step, but a good one." She squeezed his hand. "I'm more excited than nervous." "Me too." His expression softened. "You know, before I met you, I thought I had everything figured out. The business, the family dynamics, even if they were complicated. But you showed me what I was missing." "What was that?" "Real partnership. Someone who sees me for who I am, not what I can offer." He paused, his voice growing tender. "Someone who makes me want to be better." Lily felt warmth spread through her chest. "You did the same for me. You helped me believe in myself, in what I'm capable of." "You did that all on your own," Ethan corrected gently. "I just reminded you of what was already there." They finished their coffee, sharing comfortable silence and occasional glances. When they stepped outside, the spring air was crisp and fresh, full of possibility. Ethan's hand found hers naturally, their fingers intertwining. "Ready?" he asked, as they walked toward his car. "Ready," Lily confirmed, feeling the truth of it in her bones. They drove through the city, leaving behind the busy streets for quieter neighborhoods. Trees lined the sidewalks, their new leaves dancing in the breeze. Lily watched the scenery change, imagining their future unfolding in these peaceful surroundings. "You know," Ethan said, glancing at her as he drove, "my sister called yesterday." Lily tensed slightly, but Ethan's calm expression reassured her. "She's doing better," he continued. "The therapy is helping. She actually apologized again for everything she put us through." "That's good," Lily said softly. "I'm glad she's getting help." "Me too." Ethan's grip on the steering wheel relaxed. "It made me realize something. How far we've all come. A few months ago, everything was chaos. Now—" He shook his head, smiling. "Now I'm driving to look at houses with the woman I love, planning our future together." "Life has a funny way of working out," Lily mused. "It does." He reached over, taking her hand again. "I want you to know something, Lily. Whatever challenges come our way, and I'm sure there will be some, we'll face them together. No more secrets, no more schemes, just us, building our life the way we want to. Lily felt tears prick her eyes. Together, she agreed. They pulled up to a charming street lined with mature trees. The realtor was already waiting outside a beautiful Victorian-style house, clipboard in hand. As they stepped out of the car, Lily felt a surge of excitement. Ethan came around to her side, offering his hand. "Shall we?" She took it, feeling the strength of his grip, the promise in his touch. "Let's go find our home." Hand in hand, they walked up the path, ready to begin this new chapter of their story. The morning sun caught Lily's engagement ring, sending sparkles dancing across their joined hands, a reminder of the promises they'd made and the future they were building together.